What's going on, YouTube? Happy Thursday. NCAA has started. For those of us who are into it, it's a good time right now. But I am sad to say that I'm about to make a few people upset. Demcad, George for title, all of you guys who have paid attention to the economy and all these other things, I think I'm gonna make you upset today. Why am I going to make you upset? Well, because a couple things. I was reading a report last night that millionaires have grown in 2010. The millionaire population has become bigger. Now hold up. We just went through a recession. There is no way that somebody actually became richer. No way. Everybody suffered. Everybody had problems during the recession. We all lost our butts. Everybody, people are contemplating suicide. There is no way that rich people became more rich. But here's a statement, right, that a lot of people say. And somebody wrote me in today and said, could you talk about this phrase right here? The rich become richer and the poor becomes poor. It's time for us today to put that statement to rest, and I'm going to tell you why. It's a common sense statement. Of course the rich is going to get richer. Why? They say that when you are trying to become a millionaire, the hardest part of that is making your first $1 million. That's the hardest part. But then after that, it's smooth sailing. Why? Because that process that you went through to try to make that first $1 million, you learned the whole way. Now, when you've made $1 million, you're educated. You're like, okay, now all I have to do is this. Now all I have to do is this, invest in that. And of course, you're going to grow. But let's not forget about the poor people. Why is it that the poor people become poor? Because they don't know anything. This is not to put down the poor or whatever, but I'm sick of all these Bible verses and all these other kind of things that kind of back up being poor is just who we are. That's just poor just fell on us. No. Look at the life of a poor person. If you could be a fly on the wall and you looked at the life of a poor person, you would find there's no financial books at the house. The people that they hang around with are losers. They don't have any type of education. They're not trying to better themselves each day, right? So why feel sorry for them? If you don't want to do nothing to better yourself, why should I feel sorry for you? Why should I waste my time listening to your kumbaya speech? It's simple. If you want to become a person that has more muscles, right? What's the first thing you got to do? You got to learn from the people who have muscles. You got to go out and get your Body for Life books, your Jenny Craig, your Weight Watchers. You got to get the Men's Fitness magazine. You got to get a trainer. Because when you know better, you do better. So it's the same thing with money. Money isn't something that comes naturally to us. When we were born, right? And let me clear up something too, because I know some of you guys always try to find loopholes, right? I'm not talking about the rich people who were given money because of their family happened to be rich or anything like that. No. I'm talking about first generation millionaires. First generation people. What I mean by first generation, that you made that money, made that wealth in your lifetime. Maybe you grew up in a poor household and your family didn't have money or you didn't have money, but you worked some different tactics and you became into wealth. You came into wealth. We I don't have sympathy for poor people. Now, if you're poor because of natural disaster or maybe a disability or something like that, okay, I'll give you that. But if you're poor just because you're ignorant, just because you don't want to learn something, just because you don't want to do something, just because you want to sit in front of a camera and become bigger and bigger each day and whine each day, it's your fault. No one to blame but yourself. No one to blame but yourself. When you look in the mirror, the first thing you should see on your forehead is loser. Loser. And like I say, this is not to hurt anybody. It's the truth. And sometimes the truth slaps you in the face. You know? What other time in American history did we have more millionaires? That we have the most millionaires. And I've said this before, in the Great Depression. But the reason why you have millionaires is because they're like, all the poor people have made a mistake. They bought houses they couldn't afford. Things are on sale. They bought cars they couldn't afford. They bought all these things they couldn't afford. Now all I have to do is go to Craigslist and buy up TVs and buy up PlayStations and buy up the things that they couldn't afford because they were too dumb. They tried to pretend that they were rich. They tried to pretend that they were doing the right things, but they didn't do the right things. So when poor people make mistakes, it becomes Black Friday for the wealthy. Point blank. You may not want to hear those words, but that's the way it is. So Demcat, George for title. Hey, people are thriving in the economy, but they're thriving because of this, not because they're sitting back and whining. So let me hear what you guys have to say. Let me hear your questions, your comments. If this is your first time to the channel, glad to have you. I still have my Etsy classes going for those of you who want to find out ways to make extra income. And it's a cheap class. It's $25. And I'm going to teach you everything. $25. So, with that being said, have a nice day, guys. Signing off.